As Nigeria joins the rest of the world in commemorating the 2022 International Women's Day, it was an atmosphere of celebration for both the private and public sectors as different activities were organized to mark the day. The icing on the cake for the Nigerian woman, however, was the fact that on a day like this, the House of Representatives deemed it necessary to rescind the decision on the three gender-related bills which were among those rejected during voting on the Constitution Amendment bills. Wow. The House has resolved to recommit them for reconsideration. The three bills are the bill seeking 35% affirmative action for women in party administration and leadership, the bill that seeks to grant women ability to take indigenship of their husbands after 5 years of marriage, and the bill seeking citizenship to the foreign-born husband of a Nigerian woman. The decision in the House of Representatives to recommit these bills for reconsideration is coming 1 week after the bills were rejected during voting, having failed to garner required votes for approval in both chambers of the National Assembly. Voting on the three bills alongside the next batch of Constitution Amendment bills will expectedly be held 4 weeks from now. Now, what are the reasons why the House suddenly decided to reconsider these bills as we consider how best women can be empowered politically on today's episode of Nigeria Today? Welcome to the program. I am Lydia Ochi. Thank you for joining us. Joining me via Zoom is the spokesperson of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. Welcome to the program and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay,
Nigerians, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much. And we're expecting the founder and executive director, Emerge Women and Gender Development Expert, Mary Ikoki. She'll be joining us in the course of the program. Now, let me begin with you, Honorable. What are the factors that informed the decision of the House to reconsider the three formerly rejected bills?
Thank you very much. And may I use this opportunity to wish a happy International Women's Day to all the women of Nigeria. We appreciate you for all the support you've always given for us to be engaged in this nation building. We celebrate your capacity. We celebrate your strength. We celebrate your love. We celebrate you as the source of cohesion in this country and also loyalty to this administration. To your question on what influenced our decision, you know very well that it is the interest of the National Assembly to bring the people element into this review, because there has been this groundswell voice of critics that have always questioned the truthfulness that is found in the preamble of our Constitution, which says, "We, the people of Nigeria." People have always argued that this "we, the people of Nigeria" element, which gives legitimacy to this document, the Grundum, is actually not true, because the public participation in getting this done was not the way it ought to be. So it has been our determination to make sure that the aspiration of every Nigerian, that the desire of every Nigerian will be made, given a center stage in this review. And when you talk about Nigerians, a lot of women are involved, and women occupy greater percentage of these Nigerians that we talk about. So if they have a concern that we know that is not actually detrimental to our objective as a government to promote nation building, nothing stops us from accommodating the interests of the women, especially when it comes to issues you just mentioned now, expanding the horizon of citizenship, how they get citizenship. We've seen Nigerians enjoy it overseas, and we have seen that it will be somehow discriminatory to our female folks if the male folks will marry and they will get their citizenship, the ladies will get their citizenship, and the reverse is not the case for women folks. And that was why we said, no, we need to pull back on this particular voting that we have done. The same goes for indigenship, because we have seen a lot of women suffer under this inability to enjoy the privileges open to indigents. You see a woman who is qualified to be a chief judge in a state that she has practiced for a while, and she's not allowed to become a chief judge because she is not from that particular state. So those deprivations, if we do that, it ought not to be. Indigenship creates the boundary. When you talk about, I'm from Abia State, if you are from another state, you're not allowed to have access to privileges. You go against this spirit of making the world a global community where boundaries and maps, demarcation should be lifted, and systems put in place where all of us will see ourselves as one. So if you have lived in a particular place for a while, you qualify to be an indigene of that place and also have access to all the privileges, especially our ladies who are married who want to run for one office or the other. So we are reviewing that, and I think it's going to be positively reviewed for the interest of the women. The same thing goes for the affirmative action of 35%. 35% in political party administration won't really hurt anybody. And we're talking about, if the executives are about 28, we're talking about 7 or 8 women being there. Who would that hurt, actually? It will not really hurt anybody if they are there. Although we would have thought that the political party is supposed to put that in their own internal mechanism, and have the women lobby for increased number of their participation internally. But how many of these political parties will be administered in a way that it will be uniform across board? And so some will be shortchanged in this political party, while the other political party, we don't want that epileptic, inclusiveness. We want it to be thorough, and we are considering, reviewing it positively to make sure that even in political party administration, that is going to be there. Okay. So, the next which that we passed was on the issue of being a commissioner and also being a minister in this country. We have accepted 20%, and for federal ministries, for you to become a minister, and in the executive of the federal government, as well as 20% in the executive cabinet of the state. So who will this hurt? If this will not hurt anyone, it will give Nigerian women that sense of
belonging, yes, and inclusiveness. Yes. So now, if I may come in here, let me reintroduce founder and executive director, Emerge Women and gender development expert, Mary Ikoki. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, now Mary, how do you feel as a woman for the fact that the House is reconsidering some of the rejected bills, and what are your expectations this time around?
It is very good to know that they are reconsidering those bills, but also what I feel. How do I feel really? I feel that it should be 5/5. So we've heard that they're reconsidering 3 out of 5 of our demands, and I don't know who they are keeping those 2 for. They should just go ahead and make the 5 demands possible, and it shouldn't stop at the House of Representatives, because I think those are the only people that have reconsidered 3 bills. I think the Senate also need to join the fray and ensure that their own should be actually 5/5. There are 5 bills that we are demanding that they reconvene, reconsider, and pass those bills. They are basic human rights that the women of this country are asking for. And I do not understand how that becomes very difficult to do.
Okay. Now, I don't know if Honorable Benjamin can respond to that, about just giving them, passing the 5. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I think the first thing that the women should do is to also appreciate that the spirit of today, when we are celebrating them, that the whole 360 members from the whole 360 federal constituencies sat down and reviewed their position and had a retreat away from what they had already voted for. It's a step in the right direction. And it is not 3/5. I mentioned that we have voted positively before now on the issue of becoming a member of the executive, either at the state or at the federal government level. That has already passed for 20%. And I said today we did look at affirmative action for the women, for the political parties. That is the second one. And then we look at the expansion of the qualification to become a citizen, which also concern women. That's the third one. And also we look at the indigenship, expanding the qualification as well to become an indigen. That is 4/5. And in any examination, if you have 4/5, you're already an excellent student and you have done well. And the other one, which will make it 5, is the issue of special seat. And if you are talking about special seat, the problem there is that you have to amend Section 42. Section 42 of the Constitution speaks against discrimination again on the grounds of sex. If you open up the democratic space and you said a particular seat in the parliament should be allowed for women, what happens to men who are going to agitate and say this is discriminatory? And our constitution said no law should be made, no action in government should be made on grounds of sex, religion, race, and all the rest of them. And if you go about amending 42, 42 is linked to a whole lot of other provisions of the Constitution, like on the issue of federal character and all the rest of them. Some of them, that particular element of 42 is found in most of the provisions of the Constitution that try to, promote unbiased, non-discriminatory element in the exercise of government functions and duties. So it will take a little while, and all I will say is that the women have done so well to be able to achieve 4/5. As you know, when we started with PIB, you know how long PIB took. It appears as if it was not going to be done, but today it has been done.
Okay.
And it's PIE now. And with this advocacy they are leading now, this step they are strongly putting forward, there is hope that in the future, what is not accommodated now will be accommodated with stronger advocacy, stronger lobbying, maybe restructuring of that particular bill to make it more comfortable for the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay, Mary, let me ask you before we go on a break. What should actually be the role of women in politics, and how can the situation of women in Nigeria be turned around so that the country can fully benefit politically from their numerical strength and potentials?
First, I think that the role of women in politics is not different from the role the men are playing right now in politics. But I just need to reiterate first that what we still have from the House is 3/5 and not 4/5 as my brother has just said. Maybe he's not aware that his colleagues had voted 10% for increase in number of appointed positions, and the other chamber voted 20%. So you haven't actually agreed. So that is still not passed. So I need to make that very clear in case he's not aware. And it's also very interesting how he sits quite cool, talking about lobbying and how women need to do more advocacy, lobby some more for bills to be passed. And these bills are basic human rights that women are asking for, things they ordinarily shouldn't ask for. It's so funny that over the years, for so many years, that women would have to keep asking for things, for their rights to existence and their rights to equality and their rights to access both education and access political participation, to access health care and all of those basic human needs. But every time, what is even more painful is that some men, like this one, this is my brother who is from my state, have to sit around and debate about those rights that women should ordinarily, it is unbelievable that we're actually having this conversation on International Women's Day, and it makes it look as if you're doing women of this country a favor. No, you're not. Women have all of these years promoted men, and I don't know why men in the National Assembly find it, I don't know if they are scared of the women. I don't know what it is, because a woman, when women rise, it doesn't translate to men falling. Our rising is for the national development. There is no true democracy in any democracy that excludes more than 50% of its population. And I will keep saying this, that when you get women into political leadership, they do a whole lot better than other gender. Why? Okay. Because the world itself already have greater expectations when it comes to performance from women. Even when it comes to attitude and character building, women are expected to behave in a certain way. And those are some of the stereotypes and unconscious biases that a day like this we're trying to break. Okay. It's just unfortunate that as Nigerian women, we have to include breaking the constitutional bias amongst other things that the world over is seeking to address. Okay. There is a historical imbalance, which my brother is very much aware of that. And this is what we are trying to address. This is what Nigerian women are addressing. Okay. And it's an interesting conversation.
Yes, very indeed.
But women are better alternative, women are better leaders, women are better managers of resources. All right. And if Nigeria wants to develop better, it needs to get women to work.
Involved. Okay, now, we'll take a break. We'll be back to talk more on this conversation.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms.
Start Times Channel 101, Free TV Channel 703, GSTV Channel 419, and Go TV Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24,
news and more news.
Welcome back. The conversation is still going on women empowerment, and we still have our guests in the studio. Via Zoom, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, spokesperson of the House of Representatives, and of course the founder and executive director, Image Women and Gender Development Expert, Mary Ikoki. The conversation is getting really very interesting. Let me go back to Honorable Benjamin. What do you feel will be the outcome of the 3 formally rejected bills, as the House may still put them into voting? Do you see a situation where the 3 will be passed this time around, or the 5?
I speak for the House of Representatives, and I maintain that what we have done, we have handled 4 bills, and we are interested in these 4 bills over 5. It's not 3 bills. When you invite the spokesperson of the Senate, you might tell him that they have done 3. We are looking at making sure that we have a positive nod on the 4 that I just listed. Okay. And as I said, it shouldn't be considered as a favor. It shouldn't be considered as trying to pat women on the back. Is what we are convinced will help the nation in nation building. Okay. You see, when we throw up issues like this, there are some realities which we should not leave in fool's paradise by assuming that they don't exist. We all come from various communities. The question becomes, what is the concept of women, or the perception of women participation, even in traditional African leadership, even in our various communities we come from? There is that sentiment that is still out there. That is that perception that is there, even in all the major religions in the country, whether it is Christianity or Islamic religion. That is still that perception that is there. And to wave it away and believe they don't exist is to live in a lie. It will take a little while. With more orientation, I keep emphasizing, it doesn't matter how women want to throw into the trash can. It's our existing reality, and we'll keep talking about a change that we want to bring on board until people's perception will change about it. And I keep saying it's not just the parliament. It includes the parliament, it includes the constituents and the stakeholders who are the electorate who send these parliamentarians to vote in a particular pattern. Now, we are going back on consultation, and we are going to put pressure to make sure that this fall will go through. I keep maintaining that the fifth one, which is a special seat for women, is currently being viewed as being discriminatory because women are not stopped from participating in the general election. Women who are in the parliament at the moment, they did not come there because a special seat was reserved for them. And so many women have also called and said, don't give us the kind of special treatment that will make us look as if we are less in status and in capacity than you. That we have been identified as Arumotes, as Okonjo-Iwealas, and various other people who have achieved their positions in life because they have the capacity, not because they are women. And so we should not also, in the course of trying to provide a special seat for women, belittle women, because there is a segment of women who believe that such special seat will belittle the agenda. And some of them also in the parliament are saying, we did not come here on a special ground. So the ground should be open for everybody to run for political aspiration and get that. But like I said, in order to increase the inclusiveness percentage of women in governance, we are also looking at that. It may not happen immediately, but definitely at a particular time in this country, that is going to be tolerated and accommodated in our system.
Okay,
and
Mary.
then on the four that we're looking at, if by next week, based on the lobbying that we are doing among ourselves, everything goes well, it will be coming back to the parliament by next week. And hopefully we'll give it a favorable nod.
All right.
If we do that, the parliament that is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives, there is a lot of work on the Senate. We're also reaching out to make sure they see things in our own perspective. If that is done,
let me
then
come
we'll
in here.
compile it and send to the states.
Okay, let me come in here. Mary, what form of advocacy is needed to get the maximum support of men towards actualizing the gender equality in both elective positions and political appointments in Nigeria?
Advocacy to who, really? Because the thing about advocacy is that when you advocate, there are men who go ahead of you and advocate for these things. And those are men who have grown above. They have developed beyond cavemanship. Those are men who have developed beyond their environment. They are men who have developed beyond patriarchy. So these are men who are not your regular traditional men. You know, when people hide under this thing, I'm a traditional man, it's also some language they use to permeate this cultural attitude that have continued to put down the women folk. I mean, for someone like me, I oftentimes tell people that what you need to build a critical mass of the next generation of women leaders in this country. People who will fix Nigeria, people who will develop this country. The country is currently being run in a way that not every one of us, even nobody is, everybody will all see the challenges that we face as a nation. And we've also seen women who are doing great exploits all over the world. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala becomes the first woman to head World Trade Organization. First woman, and she's a Nigerian. We have another woman who leads the apex body global organization, the United Nations. Yes, Amina J. Mohammed is a Nigerian as well. But what makes it so difficult for Nigeria to look around and see and utilize the talents, the potentials, the competencies, and all of these great skills that the women of this country have? What happens is that when we don't utilize these talents and skills of Nigerian women, we shortchange the country. We lose in dollar terms. We lose economically. We lose financially. We lose in every ramification.
Okay.
So when people are calling for all of this, it's actually for national development, yes, that you have an inclusive government.
All right.
It is not asking that people who have no competencies are found in leadership. It
yes,
is actually asking you have federal character. But look at that federal character, that when you are asking for federal character, that it is not character federal in men. That federal character should also have gender character.
Yes. Thank you, Mary.
We have true representation, yes, of both gender.
Yes, like you said, the House is looking into it. The National Assembly is looking into it. We hope that at the end of the day, both sides are smiling and happy with what is going to be agreed on. Now, this is where we say goodbye. But before we go, let's say we wish all women happy Women's Day. That's where we say goodbye on this episode of the program. And our discussion has been on women empowerment. With me had been the spokesperson of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. We thank you for your time and your insights.
Thank you very much.
And Mary Ikoki, the Executive Director, Image, Women and Gender Development Expert. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time and insights.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, and to our viewers, we always say thank you and we appreciate you being part of the program. Remember, you can still watch this episode and other ones on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Till I come here again, I am Lydia Ochi saying have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.